Peace, 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 everyone. Hi there. This is Angela Jordan Perry, and coming to you with day 2 of getting started homeschooling. I've had a lot of contact from so many people who are forced homeschooling and interested in homeschooling. So I thought I would just go ahead and get this information out to the masses. So as you join in, let me know where you are joining from. Let me know, number 2, if you are considering homeschooling your children. Hi there, LaShonda. So let me know where you're joining me from. Let me know if you're considering homeschooling your children. And then 3, if you have any specific questions, go ahead and let me know and pop those in here. Let me just let you know a little bit about myself. I've been homeschooling for 20 years, 8 children, and I live in South Carolina, in the upstate of South Carolina. But in the state of South Carolina, I give families legal status to homeschool their children. Okay, so that's one of the things I do in the state. So in order to homeschool in South Carolina, you have to join a homeschool option. Okay, option 1, 2, or 3. And most families go with option 3. And so there I am. I give families legal status to homeschool. Once they decide option 3, then they can join with me and I can help them get started and legally homeschool their children. Hey there from Missouri. Hey there. Hey, Allison. So let me just give you, if you didn't catch yesterday was the first day of the series of how to get started homeschooling. Now you're ready to homeschool? How do you officially get legally homeschooling in South Carolina? Yesterday I talked about, knowing your state laws, whatever state you're in. You're in Missouri, some are in South Carolina, some are in Georgia. Know your laws for homeschooling. That's what you need to know first. And then second, you need to just decide when you're going to get started. Okay, so go back and look at the video from yesterday, and that will help you narrow down some thoughts. Okay, hey Socorro. And so, but today I wanted to talk to you about, understanding the resources, choosing your resources, and committing to your homeschooling budget. That's the next question I always get from people who are wanting to start homeschooling. So I tell you that there's a plethora of homeschool resources out there to utilize. And for me to go through a whole list, I can tell you my best choices and the things that I've used over 20 years. But from year to year or every 3 years or so, I change up and do something different. Either I'm bored with what I had, or I didn't like it, or it didn't work, or it worked for some kids and not for other kids. So let me just dive in there and let you know. First of all, when you're choosing your resources, in most states, again, know your law. But if you're in South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, you pretty much have freedom to choose the curriculum or the method in which you choose to homeschool. There are books. There's a good old library. You, the homeschooling parent, can create your own resource, or there's online resources, a lot of online resources. And for many people, especially right now, who are on a very strict budget right now during COVID-19, there's a lot of online resources that are free. There's a good old bartering or changing. Can I use your resource that you have? You find another homeschooling mom and say, can I use your book? You have 3rd grade books. Can I use those? So there's a lot of ways to get to, starting point of homeschooling on a very, very small budget. Okay. And in the description, I list a whole lot of online resources that you can use that are free. Now, even right now with COVID-19 going on, a lot of online resources are giving those resources that once had a fee to them. They're now allowing them to be utilized at no cost, because they understand the whole general populace is, under financial constraints for the most part. Okay, so first, choosing your resources, always start with knowing your budget. Okay, you don't want to jump into hearing what some people may suggest, or even what I may suggest, if your budget doesn't permit it. So know what your budget is. And when you're talking about your budget, that may not only just include your books and your curriculum and all that. Maybe it also will include, pencils, paper, just basic stuff to get started. Pencil, paper, if you're going to be using desks or a school room or anything like that. Okay, so that's the first thing. Know your budget. All right. Number 2, go through the list that I have provided that's online. Number 3, do a Google search and look at all the books that are out there. Now, I'm going to give you some suggestions of some things that you can look into. Abeka, abeka.com, abeka.com. I didn't put this in the show notes. I wasn't going to go through it, but I just thought now I at least give you some ideas. Abeka.com, apologia.com is another resource that I've used. Saxon Math, Life of Fred are some great books. Life of Fred is just called Life of Fred. These are some things you can just look into and see. Mammoth Math is another one. So for social studies, there's some great books. Let me grab this one book. I should have had it in just a minute. Okay, social studies, here's a great book that I've used, and I highly suggest this. Social studies can be used, social studies can comprise a lot of different things. Social studies is your history, it is geography, so you can definitely use books from the library. You can use apps that help children learn their states and capitals, or countries and continents, and the locations thereof. So social studies encompasses a lot. So I would say, again, if you're on a shoestring budget of what you can use, you can't see. You can't see, oh, can't see the book. I'm sorry, let me try down here because I got people on this. So I got my cell phone up and my computer up. So this is the book. This is a great book. It talks about history from the position of Blacks, Native Americans, women, where they showcase their story and what it looked like for them through history. And this is a book that we go over and over again, and we generally would do it in quarters. So we may do a third of a book, and then the next year do another third, and the next year do another third, and we just cycle through. History is history, okay? And then I pull in other books from the library, so just utilize your library. Right now, libraries are opening up so that you can at least put books on hold and pick them up if you can't go in there and look around, okay? Put the book in front of you. Thanks. Okay. All right, let's try that. Yeah, hopefully that's better. Okay, so this is a science book a social studies book that I was recommending. This is really, really, really good book. And even have, okay, so you can see it, great. Even have my kids in tears just to hear the history. So it's painted in its truest sense and not sugar-coated, type of history. But so those are a few things. If you have some questions, pop them in, but it's really simple when you're thinking about getting started. Know the laws, decide when you're going to get started, figure out your budget, and then start choosing your resources based on your budget, okay? It gets that simple. Now, the other little element I would say is when you're, homeschooling, figure out what resources you can use on different grade levels. Like this history book, I can use for my kindergartner all the way up to high school from this one book. And so we can have studies together. It's same thing with science, depending on what curriculum or resource you choose to go with. Find resources that would allow you to teach to several or many grade levels. That's always key. That cuts down on a lot of oversight you have to do because everyone is learning from the same resource. Okay, anyone have any questions? Let's see. So if you're looking at this on replay, be sure to let me know where you're viewing it from, and then also let me know, are you considering homeschooling? Officially, legally homeschooling, not forced homeschooling with public school work in your home, but where you're choosing to homeschool, okay? And if you need some more detailed help, just let me know, of course. Pinterest is great. Yep, Pinterest has a lot of resources. If you're crafty and hands-on and that type of thing, utilize that. And so throughout this week, I am going to be talking about all the how-tos of getting started homeschooling because I have had so many people email me and contact me. I think because so many people have already been forced to homeschool, they see that they can now homeschool, or either they see what their children were supposed to be learning, but they're not learning now that they're forced to homeschool, and they're really engaged in their work, and they just want something different. So anyway, throughout this whole week, I'm going to come live and give you all the steps by step on what you need to know and how to get started homeschooling. All right. Yeah, kids love museums. And I think in the list that I have in the show notes, even some virtual tours that you can go with your kids on by, from your computer to zoos and different museums all over the different places all over the country in the world. Okay. All right. Very good. I hope this was helpful. And that may sound very, very, very simple, but knowing your budget is everything. That'll help you know what you can do and what you cannot do, what you can consider and what you cannot consider as you get started on your homeschooling journey. All right. Okay. Peace, everyone. And until tomorrow, I'll be back with another little nugget for you in getting started on your homeschooling journey. All right. Bye-bye. Peace.